And before I get into it, though, let me say that I'm excited about the Eastern Apicultural Society of North America. Their conference is coming up in New Jersey, and it's going to be at Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And it's July 27th through August the 1st. Looking forward to that. I've gone every year since 2008, I think. So I've been with them a long time. Enjoy that. I'm a certified master beekeeper through the Eastern Apicultural Society of North America. I got certified in 2010 after taking their rigorous test that makes some people elated and jump with joy when they pass, and other people cry when they don't make it that year. So, wow. So anyway, think about going to that conference. I'm going to be there, and I'd love to spend time with you guys. If any of you want to fly out there, or maybe you live in the area, consider that. That's coming up. All right, let's talk about 3 horrible spring mistakes and how you avoid them. Number 1 is a big mistake, and I want to jump right into this because this can really be bad. And I'm so pumped and excited because what I've developed today in my teaching, I believe is going to be very insightful, very helpful for you guys not to make this horrible mistake. Misreading a swarm inspection. That's what my video was a few days ago, where I jumped into a hive and I began looking for queen cells to make sure I'm ahead of the game so that my hive doesn't swarm, right? So when you inspect a hive, you're looking for what that picture shows on the left, those little swarm cells. Now, oftentimes they're on the very bottom of the frame, but they're hanging vertically along with the same angle that the frame's on, instead of most cells of the workers and drones are horizontal, but these are hanging vertically. You see them there? And if you see them, they look like tiny little peanuts. They're about the size of a little pinky finger, half a pinky finger, and they're noticeable. I want to answer this real quick. It just came to my mind. I don't want to forget it. So somebody asked me, hey, David, can you actually just turn a box, like the bottom box? Can you actually turn my watch off? Can you actually tilt the bottom box up off the bottom board and look up in there and see if there's any queen cells? Like, you can do that to every box. I've seen people check for queen cells by lifting up the front of the box on the hive and tilting it and looking underneath, putting it back down, doing that. I don't like that method. Now, let me tell you why. That's because of the picture on the left. Those are swarm cells. If we would have tilted the box up and the frames would have been tightly together, we wouldn't have noticed those swarm cells because they're really not on the very bottom of the frames. You wouldn't see them. That's my problem with trusting tilting up and looking for, especially if you want to see every swarm cell in there. All you have to do is miss one swarm cell, one covered up with bees or whatever, and they're going to swarm. They have a green light to swarm, right? So you just really need to go frame by frame, like I did in my last video. Well, the one before the last one. Hey, Chris, thanks for your super sticker, and thank all of you for donating to the live stream tonight. So I want to tell you before I forget that tilting those boxes may not be the most accurate way to see everything on a frame. That's what I'm saying. So you decide if you want to do it. I'm going to love you if you decide to do it that way just the same. Not going to be mad at you. You have a right to do what you want to. I am a beekeeper who feels that everybody has the right to keep bees the way they want to. It's not my way or the highway. I respect any way you choose to do it, outside of just making a horrible mistake. And then I'm going to say, oh, you're going to fall off the cliff. Okay. Anyway, back to mistake number 1, misreading a swarm inspection. Thank you, Feathers, for your super sticker. So in other words, what does it mean to misread it? All right, let's get into that. How do you read correctly whether your bees have swarmed or are they going to swarm? All right, so a swarm inspection is when you inspect your hive and you're looking at the brood area where the bees, lay their eggs and turns into larvae and pupae. You're looking in that area, those frames specifically. And what you want to do is you want to confirm that your queen, the queen that has been with that hive all winter, is either still there or she's gone. You have to determine that. I have had so many beekeepers that have asked me questions about their hive because they have a problem. And I say, okay, well, when you tore those queen cells out, did you have a queen? And they say these terrible words. I'm not sure. You don't know? Because here's what happens. If the queen is gone, you have to leave the swarm cells. If the queen is present, the original queen, and you usually know that because you've marked her. That's something we all need to get really good at doing, because this will give you insight. If she's not marked, you don't know if she's last year's queen or a new virgin, or a virgin queen that just got mated from a swarm. You don't know. So it's important to mark your queens to help with this. So if a queen is present during a swarm inspection is looking at a hive, hopefully to stop a swarm from happening. You got to know if you got a queen or not. If she is there, now you can split. And if you split a hive, you can harvest those queen cells, those swarm cells. They're very good cells to use, and you can use them somewhere else. Now, I want to get into this a little more specifically, okay? Hey, Leah and Vera, happy Easter. Papa and Nana, good luck with the bee pickup day. Yeah, our package bee pickup day is coming up on 27th, I think. And so we're looking forward to that in not this weekend, but next weekend. Good to see you guys. Hi, Vera Lynn, my granddaughter. Yeah. All right, so let's get more into this a little bit deeper, okay? So if the queen is gone, it likely means that they've already swarmed. And I'll tell you what, I am a certified master beekeeper. I've done a lot of bee inspections. And when a hive swarms, I'm going to be honest with you, if I just look at bee population, I really can't tell. You really can't tell, because you're losing about almost 50% of the hive. You know, but the way bees are, let's say you have 50,000 bees in there, and they're kind of all distributed across the frames and everything. 25,000 gone, you kind of might know it, but you may not be sure. They could be foraging, and so they look thinner. So that is not the best way to tell. So when you do this swarm inspection, you're going to have to make sure, if you don't see any swarm cells, I got a special trick for you. This is really insightful. I hope this is going to be helpful to you guys. When I inspected the hive 3 days ago, what triggered me, and I didn't say this in my video, but what triggers are going on in my mind is this: have they already swarmed? Okay, so what would tell me that they already swarmed? Well, that means for me, they would have swarmed very recently, within the last 7 days before I inspected. What would be left around for me to know that? Swarm cells, opened up, half-eaten or half-destroyed swarm cells would still be hanging. Those things, they don't tear them right down. They don't tear them down. It takes a little while. So I would see open queen cells hanging from the frames. Like, that would trigger me that a swarm had occurred, because there are old queen cells with the bottom queen door open and they're gone. They'd be hanging there. I didn't see those. So I knew they hadn't swarmed. And the other thing that I'm looking for is the brood, specifically the young brood of egg and larvae. That tells all the story in the world about what's going on in your hive. Get a pen and paper out, or save this video, or take screenshots of my images here, because this is going to be really educational for you. Okay, let's jump into the next teaching here. I drew this up this afternoon because I wanted it to become more visual for you. So when you do a swarm inspection, you're evaluating the age of the larvae. By the way, for those of you new to the science of beekeeping, a single larva is called larva. And if you have more than one larva, it's called a larvae. Okay, what is that? Latin, I think. But it has the AE on it, the larvae. It's pronounced larvae. Anyway, let's get back to the image here. So when you're looking at your hive, and I'll show you a picture of a hive in just a frame in just a minute, but this tells you everything. And this is not, exactly day by day, but this is really close. Day one, when the queen lays an egg, it's going to be pretty much straight up in the back of the cell, what we refer to as the bottom of the cell, but it's actually the back of the cell. And on day two, the egg starts to tilt over a little bit. And look, on day three, it it hatches from the egg into a larva, and it's swimming there in a pool of royal jelly that the nurse bees have fed or feeding the larvae through their hypopharyngeal glands. Okay. Day 4, the larvae gets better, gets bigger. And day 5, it almost, you can see it closing the C, we call it. And around day 6, 7, you can see the larva just takes up the whole cell, but down at the bottom of it. And then about day 7 or 8, it is capped over and it pupates. It stands up in the cell and pupates, spins a cocoon in there, pupates, and becomes an adult worker bee in 24 days. 21 days, sorry, 23 or 24 days for the drone. But so on this worker bee, when you're looking at these eggs, now I dropped back in that hive. I'm pumped and excited. I love teaching these truths like this. When I dropped back in the hive yesterday to make a follow-up video, I wanted to know, when I put the queen excluder under that super that had brood in it, was the queen up in that super? I didn't have to look to see the queen. All I had to look for, and you'll see me doing that in the video, I just had to look for the larvae. Because when I put it in there, let's say that was 3 days ago from when I made the video, if I saw eggs, that would mean the queen is up above the queen excluder. And that's an uh-oh moment, move her out of there. So as I did my inspection, what I'm hoping to see, since I did put eggs up there 3 days ago, guess how I do the visual, math. I look, and in the cells, I saw nothing that was younger than a 3-day-old larvae. That picture right there, I saw nothing younger than that. I didn't see a 2-day-old. I didn't see a 1-day-old egg. So I knew immediately after checking several frames, oh, good, the queen is not up above the queen excluder. Ha, see how that works? But when you're doing a swarm inspection, that's how you go about doing this as well, determining the age of what's going on. Thank you, Maryland Beekeeper. Thanks for your super sticker tonight. So anytime you're wanting to know kind of like the history of your hive, what happened, a few days ago, last week, you look at the brood, you look at the larvae, it tells the story. Here's a good example. If you're doing a swarm inspection and you've been busy and you didn't really get a chance to follow up in your hive inspections as often as you should, which should be once a week during swarm season. But, life happens, right? But let's say you drop in to finally get an inspection going on and you don't see any eggs, and really you don't see any larvae except what is pictured in frame number 6. You see a 6-day-old larvae. That's the youngest one. There's nothing younger than that. There's no 5 days. There's no 4 days, no smaller ones. That means 6 days ago, there was an event. The queen stopped. Okay. If it's spring, they probably swarmed 6 days ago and they don't have anybody to lay eggs. The queen's gone. They're going to raise a new queen, but she's not ready yet to lay. So, they swarmed 6 days ago. Isn't that amazing? Or if they didn't swarm, because you don't see evidence of old swarm cells, if they didn't swarm, your queen died 6 days ago, but that's a chance for you to say, they would be raising new swarm cells called supersedures on the upper side of the frame. I try to make this simple. I try to think, how would I want somebody to explain this to me? Oh, and by the way, I don't like to be talked down to. I hear a lot of beekeepers talking down to people, kind of treating them like they're dumb, or I don't like that either. I try to respect where everybody comes from and meet them where they're at. I hope I come across that way. So anyway, that is a way that you can kind of navigate through this inspection and make this determination of what is going on right now, because the larvae stages, and then you can look back and make an assessment based on what I see as larvae, the age of the young brood. I can determine what's going on right now. Isn't that exciting? Oh yeah, that's exciting. All right, let me give you an idea. I wish I could zoom in and blow up this scene, but I really can't. But this is available in the video that I made about 3 or 4 days ago. But in my videos, I point out in that upper section there's eggs there. And they are standing straight up in the cell. This is the hive that I was wondering, have they swarmed? Eggs standing straight up in the cell? No, they haven't swarmed. Number 1 is too early. No remnants of old cells hanging on the last few days. there's eggs that were laid 24 hours ago because they're not bent over. Some of those eggs are straight up. Down below, you can see images a little more clearly because they're bigger. You can see the bigger 6-day-old larvae down there, 7-day-old larvae. And then you can see the capped brood on the very bottom. This is a scene from the hive we inspected. So that is my most important thing to look at when I'm doing an inspection. See, a lot of people just look, they look for the queen, they looking for stuff. I'm looking at this. This tells me everything. Okay, good. I'm okay. I got eggs. I got good larvae. I got capped brood. That means the queen's home. I got no swarm cells. You see all this stuff that's registering with me when I do an inspection. As you get more familiar with this, for those of you that are new to beekeeping, it's going to click so fast. Like you pull up a frame, and as soon as you look at that image right there, live out in the field, instantly, within 5 seconds, you have analyzed the hive. You could close it up. Seriously, if I pull that frame up, I could close it up within 5 seconds because I'm going to say eggs, larvae, pupae, queen is good. Boom, done looking at it. I don't have to worry about a swarm or anything. But because it's swarm season, I got to check to see if they are, raising queens to swarm. And that's why I went through that meticulously frame by frame. All right, so that's the first horrible mistake that I want to tell you about. We got 2 more, but listen, do not remove queen cells, swarm cells, unless the queen is present, because bees know what to do. If they swarmed with the original queen, they need those queen cells to raise a new queen. So if you don't know if you have a queen, you just go in and see the swarm cells and think, oh, I want to stop a swarm. I'm going to tear down all these swarm cells. But you haven't checked to see if you have eggs stand straight up, or you haven't checked to see if the queen is walking around. You don't want to tear those down. If you see swarm cells, it's imperative that you look for your original queen, because if the cells aren't quite capped over yet, your original queen could be in there. You can capture her and thwart a swarm. And you can actually stop a swarm if she's still home. Isn't that great? And if you don't, and if you tear the queen cells down after that they have swarmed and you go in there and tear them down and don't leave them anything, there's no eggs either. There's nothing. There's no age that's young enough for them to raise a new queen. They will perish without your intervention. So that's a first horrible mistake that you have to be able to avoid. Don't tear queen cells down unless you know you have a queen. All right, second horrible mistake to make is that I see a lot of people making this mistake. It's very common for experienced and new beekeepers failing to act quickly to replace a subpar queen. Those of you that are brand new, welcome to the live stream. Thanks for being here tonight. Look at that scene, the big queen on the left. That's the queen, little worker on the right, okay? Just wanted to clarify that. So what happens if you have a failing queen and she's subpar? You're going to have poor brood, a poor laying brood pattern because she can't, lay eggs correctly, or they're not fertilized correctly. She's running out of stored sperm in her spermatheca. That means you're going to have reduced brood. Without reduced brood, you're going to have reduced population. That means you're going to be more vulnerable to pests and diseases. It takes a lot of bees to keep pests away and to control diseases. The fewer bees you have in population, the more pests and diseases you're going to have. And obviously you won't survive winter. So a failing queen, listen, this is why it's so important in the spring, because you need 2,000 eggs a day to be laid. So if you're only getting 1,000 or 500, there's more dying than there's more leaving than joining the club. And you're not going to be able to stay in business long, okay? So early intervention can save your colony. It ensures that they are going to have a strong workforce to raise more brood and to make you more honey. So it's imperative. The second horrible mistake to make is failing to really know. Now, some of you might be brand new and you're saying, David, tell us, how do we know if we have a failing queen? You check the brood. The capped over pupae is capped over. And if it's very spotty and there's not much of it, you don't see a lot of capped over brood, that's the easiest thing to see. then you know it's time to buy a new queen. You got to get on the phone, get on the horn, order a new queen, because that's the simplest thing to solve. Okay. Just buy a new queen, drop her in there behind candy, let them eat through the candy, and see if a new queen will bring the hive back up. So I know some of you might think, but I just got this nuke, or I just got this package 2 weeks ago, or I looked in my hive that overwintered 2 weeks ago and everything was great. So how could it go wrong that fast? Well, welcome to life. It can go wrong really fast. Now, the third horrible mistake putting in the category of a horrible mistake is not adding the boxes at the right time. Additional boxes have to be added to your hive. I didn't put this in my script today, but I do want to talk about, I'm not running by a script, but my notes. I didn't mention this, but a lot of beekeepers, they will get a new package and they will add all their boxes at once. Maybe they bought a special kit from a special bee place and it has 2 deeps and 3 honey supers. So that's 5 boxes. And they don't realize it, but they'll take all 5 boxes, put them in position, and they'll put a package of bees in there. Will that work? I've done that before, and it opens up a lot of problems. I mean, you might want to say it works, but it works with a lot of problems, but it may not work at all either. So here's what I want to tell you. If you're just starting out and you're wondering, well, what do I put my package in? You put them in a single box. If you're running, a lot of beekeepers start with a deep box, a brood box, or 2 deep boxes, and then they add their medium honey supers later. You only want to start with 1 box. If you're running all medium boxes, some beekeepers run medium-sized boxes, 6 5/8 or whatever. You want to start with 1 of those. And you want the bees to build out 5 to 7 frames before you add the next box for them to build on the foundation you're adding. So you start with 1 box, 5 to 7 frames are drawn out. You add the second box on top of that. And then if that's the limit of your brood, then you wait until 5 or 7 frames are drawn out on that second box. And then with the queen excluder underneath, you add your honey super. That's the traditional way of adding boxes, the timing. So why is it so bad to do it different ways? What are the problems? Well, if you add too many boxes too soon, you're giving the bees a lot of space. And that means they're all going to be in one area, not in the other area, which means all your pests and potentially some diseases or pathogens can develop in the area that bees are not keeping clean and policing. Do you see what I'm saying? So, that's why a lot of problems develop in our homes or restaurants in remote places that people don't go into very often or turn the lights on. There'll be more bugs and bad things there because you notice things more where you're active and you're busy and you keep those places clean and pretty. Same with bees. So that's why we try to keep the bees in a pretty tight quarters so that they can control and keep clean where they live. And the more boxes you add too soon, you're going to let small hive beetle hang out and not be policed and so forth. Now, if you add your boxes too late, let's say you get busy, life happens, and you won the lottery and you took the $1 million and went to Europe and France. And anyway, you got home and, you didn't add any boxes when you should have, you're going to have low populations because they swarmed. Yeah. And they get too crowded and they know they can't keep, going on in a crowded environment. And so they would have swarmed on you. So that's why if you really want your bees to do really well during the spring, summer, and fall going into winter, you control them, you prevent them from swarming. And so you add boxes at the right time, giving them room to really expand well, but not too much room that they get overcrowded and bad things happen. So the action plan, I think, is to inspect every 2 weeks or once a week during swarm season, but every 2 weeks, and make sure that the boxes that they're in, that's where they're very active and they're not too crowded, but there's not too much space. The rule of thumb, 5 to 7 frames drawn out with bees on it or resources on it, that's when you want to add another box. Most of us never really expand our brood area more than 2 boxes of deeps or 3 boxes of mediums, if that's your way of doing things. So that's kind of what works really well. Now, I know a lot of people say that, oh, I like to keep my bees only in one single deep box. And there are beekeepers that are single deep beekeepers, and they've learned how to do it. Even in the north, they like to overwinter even in a single deep box. Personally, I would never do that. I've experimented. I've done it. I don't like doing it because I don't get enough bees out of winter. They survive, but they're small in number because there's only 10 frames and only about 4 frames of brood in there. So I need more coming out of winter than that. But if that's your thing, remember, I think it's great. You do your thing. But I think you're always going to be better off if you live in a northern state to have 2 deeps on there, especially if you're a backyard beekeeper and starting out new, because that gives you more heater bees in the wintertime and more resources to go through the winter with. All right. I hope that we got a lot more coming up in this live stream. I'm just putting this scene on here. If you want to take your phone out and take a picture of the QR code, that'll help you subscribe to this channel. But take a moment now and do give me a thumbs up. I'd love for you to leave a comment, give a thumbs up on this teaching that might have helped you today, or subscribe to my channel. We're up to 164,000 subscribers. So thank you all for subscribing. I looked at my statistics, and about half of you that watch me have subscribed. That's pretty typical of a YouTube channel. So a lot of you probably watch on TV and just don't want to bother to subscribe, whatever. I'd love you to subscribe though. All right. So we have a lot planned tonight. We're going to be talking. We've got a giveaway coming up, so don't go anywhere. But we're going to be answering a lot of your questions. Let me get a couple of things said before I get rolling. I'm going to be speaking in Texas coming up in June. It's not that far away. It's going to be June the 21st in Abilene, Texas. So if you're going to be in that area or you want to drop in and see me down there, check out the Texas Beekeepers Association, and love to meet you at that event, June the 21st. All right. Here we go, Robbie. It's that one right there. There we go. Okay. Also, I have a survey that I'm collecting from all of you. So I really appreciate it if you would actually complete the survey. We have over 600 beekeepers that have completed this survey. Many of you are hounding me in a nice way to show you the results of that survey. I'm almost to 700 respondents. Let me drop that. That's my fault. Let me get rid of that, Robbie. Yep, there we go. Okay, you want to put me over there. So yeah, if you want to be a part of that survey, I believe the link is somewhere. I don't know where. Is it in the comment section, Robbie? Okay, in the comment section, there's a link to that survey. And I think once we get about 700, I'm going to call it off. Some of you are still coming out of winter, so I want to have everybody a chance to do that survey. So be sure and complete the survey, and then I'm going to be revealing results and whether or not that helps us understand why bees all died last winter. So many bees died. I don't know, but at least it'll be a survey for us to look at and maybe rule out some things, or be interesting to see how many, just complete the survey. You can do it anonymously, and that'd be a big help as well. That's a big amount of people that have responded. I appreciate that so much on that survey. All righty. Very good. Very good. Let's go ahead and jump into our question and answer time. I'm going to do my best to answer your questions. I work so hard for you guys. My gosh, I really work hard helping you in your beekeeping endeavors. All right. Hey, David, I got a package of bees and put them in their new hive 7 days ago. I inspected today, and there are a couple of frames drawn out, but no eggs or sign of the queen. What should I do? That's never a good idea. Now, I realize that you're able to make a pretty good assessment because the hive is very small, right? You don't have many frames drawn out. You can quickly see if there's a queen or not. Now, on occasion, packaged bee producers accidentally cage up a virgin queen. Something happens. it could be a virgin queen and they're out on a mating flight when you did your inspection. I think if I was you, let's see, when did you do it? You inspected today. Okay, I'm going to wait. Well, I would inspect it tomorrow. And here's the trick. Oh, these are so many good tips. Thank you for your donation there. Appreciate the $10, Oleg. Here's a good tip. If you do an inspection, don't see your queen, and you think you could possibly have a virgin queen, what you want to do is inspect around 5 or 6 in the afternoon, because the virgin queen won't be taking a mating flight at that hour. Okay, so do that. If you don't see a queen by then, call up your package bee provider and say, I don't have a queen, and see if they would be gracious enough to give you one. If not, you'll have to buy one, a mated queen. Yeah, that's pretty common. It's not that I talked in my live stream why this happens. They draw out 2 frames, no more places are drawn out, and oftentimes they kill the queen, blaming her for it because she's not a good layer, but they should be raising queen cells. All right, she may have died when they introduced her too. Hey, Jean, can you graft those swarm cells and raise a few queens? The swarm cells don't need grafted. You can take them. Maybe that's what you mean. You can harvest them. And yeah, you can harvest them and put them in a queenless, little queenless nuke or something like that and use them. Absolutely. Yep, that's a good thing to do. Always take advantage of those swarm cells. Well, hello, Gary. You're depressed? Well, I'm here to help you. I have 2 swarm boxes that look like I-85 last week. Does that mean busy? Is that an interstate? Until the temps drop below freezing this week with warmer temps, nobody is stopping by. What's happening? Yeah, Gary, I'll tell you, this idea of swarm is a very magical thing. It really is something that is very difficult to put your finger on. Or bees swarm, it's amazing. I'd sit tight, see if they just changed their mind about moving in there. Maybe they were thinking about it, but I think you're doing everything okay. Just keep an eye on it. It was just a cold temperature just ran them off. Hey, Jimmy, David, when using the top feeder, what makes the jar leak out? What a mess on the bottom board. A lot of times a top feeder jar, the lid has a rubber seal on it. Thank you, Mike. And that rubber seal can have a little flaw to it. It can have a little piece of something on it, not letting it seal good. Because when you turn a jar upside down, you want vacuum at the top of that jar to hold the sugar water in. And if you have any kind of a leak in there, it's going to leak out. Sometimes if your holes are really big, you got too many holes, it will leak out too. Sometimes the jar has an imperfection in the top of glass. So keep your jars full. It allows more vacuum. Test them before you put them on the Hive. That's always a good thing. Turn them upside down. They're going to leak for a little bit, maybe a minute, but then test to see if they just don't give a drop or two once every 30 seconds. Got something to do with the seal. Change the lid. Hey, Jenny, thanks for your donation tonight. I had a hive swarm in February. Man, I hope you live in the deep south somewhere. I caught them and started a third hive. Okay. The hive that they left seems to have never made a new queen and now has laying workers. Is there a way to fix it, or are they doomed? Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. That's what happened, Jenny, is they did probably raise queen cells, and that queen went out on a mating flight. Oh, 2 things could have happened. 2 things. Okay. Here you go. Number 1, all those virgin queens, when they emerge, they fight each other. Hey, Todd, thanks for your donation. When 2 queens, 3 queens fight, sometimes they all get killed. They jab each other with their stingers. It's not supposed to go down that way, but it does. So they could have all died in trying to see who was going to be the main queen. But let's say one did live and survive. She went out on a mating flight and got eaten by a dragonfly or a bird. And that happens. 7%, I think. I don't know what their percentage is, but a certain percent of virgin queens on a mating flight, they don't make it back. It's dangerous, very dangerous out there for a queen to go mating a mile or 2 away. That could have happened. Now, what can you do about the laying workers? You can try to introduce a queen. They're all your laying workers. Some of you say shake the bees out 20 yards away and the laying workers can't fly back. That's not right. That's an old wives' tale. I've heard that. I know it's been scientifically proven not to be correct. All the all your laying workers are foragers. They fly. Okay, they fly and gather nectar, come back and lay a little bit of eggs because they have an ovaries that they can do that. They're not fertilized eggs, but they're drone eggs. And so you've got to stop it. So the only way to do it is try to, if you have more than one hive, and I think you said you did, then you can move a couple of frames of open larvae over to that laying worker hive, and that will start suppressing the laying workers because that pheromone clamps down the laying worker's ability to lay. And then that way you can introduce a queen. It's kind of a tough thing to do, but you can do it. Okay, I'm a first-time beekeeper. Welcome and congratulations. Good to have everybody give a round of applause to a first-time beekeeper. It's great to see you for the first time out here. Okay, did my first acyclic vapor yesterday. Is it okay to constantly do OA treatment preemptively to keep the mites down? Are there any drawbacks? You know what? That's a matter of philosophy. I get it. I think there are some beekeepers that really love doing the OA, and because it doesn't kill below the cap broods, you do have to keep doing it. A lot of beekeepers do it every 4 days for a little bit just to kind of have a handle on it. It has to have an effect on the bees to some degree. We know it affects mites, so most people say it doesn't really affect bees, but we always, hey, who knows? But I would say your best bet is to carefully follow the label and the recommendations on what the label says about when to treat again. Yep. Inspecting overwinter hive 3 weeks ago, I heard my queen piping on the frame. No queen cells, good amount of workers, few drones. Why would mated queens pipe, or do I have a virgin? Yes. It's more likely that we hear piping when we have virgin queens. However, I made a video of, I had about 20 or 30 mated queens in a queen bank, and they were all piping. And I know they were mated because I took them out of hives where they were laying good, and they were there. Thanks, Mark, for your donation. So the reason they pipe, a mated queen will pipe when she wants food. Give me some food. What's going on? Who's slacking around here? Where is my retinue? Beep, 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 beep. That's what it sounds like. People are saying, how does a queen pipe? I don't know why that noise. Sounds like they're playing a little pipe. Me, 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 me. Sounds like that. I'm really good at impersonating a queen. I've heard that so much. Me, 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 me. Yeah, they won't fed, and they'll holler like that. Here's another one. David, I used your Winter Be Kind on my hive over winter. They liked it so much they ate it in 3 weeks. I've had them eat it in 3 days. They are a huge superpower hive. Thank you, David, for the great product. Thanks, Chris. I love it. I love seeing bees big and strong like that. Good deal. Those go on sale August the 1st, by the way. Thanks, Eric. Good to see you, Eric. Always enjoy seeing Eric in my comment section as well. Thanks for your donation tonight. Hey, Scott, after freezing green drone comb to kill the cap, brood, and mites, is it necessary to scrape off the brood or just put the frame back in and let the bees clean it up? All right, let me check my time here. Okay. Green drone comb, don't have any near me, but it is a way that we control mites for those of you that may not have ever heard of it before. Put it in there, let the queen lay unfertilized eggs on it, and the mites are attracted to that. And then once it's capped over, mostly you can take it out and freeze it for a couple of days. It kills all the mites. And it really does work well. Now, your question is, when you're done freezing it, should you scrape it all off or put it back and let the bees clean it up? I like to put it back in and let the bees clean it up because I don't want the bees to have to rebuild all that comb. Now, it's going to be messy. I remember, let me tell a story. A long time ago, I was using green drone comb. I had froze some and a bunch of my hives. I put it back in the hive and they began to clean. I put it back in there cold. It was a hot summer day. I thought they'd like a big cold block of comb with dead drones on it. And I put it in there, and my bee inspector came to inspect my hives the next day after I put that in there. Well, on my bottom board were all these dead drones, these discolored, yucky drones that the colony had warmed up and pulled out of that frozen frame. And I told my bee inspector, who was Danny Wright at the time here in Illinois, he's since passed away. Danny and I worked together for years. Miss him. I said, Danny, I just put some green drone comb in my hive, so you're going to see a bunch of dead drone larvae on the front. That's all that is. I didn't want him freaking out like, wow, what disease is this? Hey, Ross, thank you. 12 months now as a member on my YouTube channel. Thanks for getting me through my first year. Ready for year 2. That's exciting. All right. Wonderful. Hey, Robert, when putting in a new queen, someone has suggested put on a layer of toilet paper around the cage to give the bees a bit more time they can get to the queen. What do you think? No, I don't like that idea. Because you're putting something around the cage, you're limiting the bees, the pheromones from getting dispersed from the cage area. You want the bees to be able to stick their little proboscis in there and lick some pheromones, and the smell of pheromones of the queen to permeate so the bees get used to her. That toilet paper might interfere with that. Bees are going to tear that up. If you want to extend the time that, by the way, there's so many things like this that are out there that they go against science or tradition. But if you want to extend her release time, all you got to do is put her in there. Don't take the cork off yet. Brilliant. Don't take the cap off. Leave it on an extra day or 2. But let them gain access to her through the little cage and her pheromones, and then take the cap off after a couple of days, and then they'll eat through a day or 2 to the candy. That helps so much. That's the way. Never heard that toilet paper trick. Boy, bees would devour toilet paper. Here's my guess. 1 sheet of toilet paper wrapped around a queen cage would last about, here I go, not more than 3 minutes. No, it'd be destroyed and taken out in 3 minutes. All right. I'm fired up. Delmer, what is the longest period that it takes for a virgin queen to make her mating flight and start laying eggs? Well, once she flies out of the hive, she's going to be gone for 27 minutes, I'm guessing, and she's going to come back, and she'll have the mating sign or the endophallus of the drone still attached in the back of her abdomen. They'll pull that out. The sperm has to gravitate and gets kind of all mixed into the spermatheca. Probably after she comes back, within 3 to 5 days, you're going to start seeing eggs. Yeah. I hope that answers your question. David, have you heard of the company BIO? That they developed the fully lab-created honey. They develop fully lab-created honey. No bees required. Oh, no, that's heartbreaking and gut-wrenching. I don't like the idea. That means we don't need bees anymore. Am I reading that right? No, I have not. Fortunately, I have not heard of that, because that sounds like synthetic honey to me. And without knowing more about it, I don't want to poo-poo it too much, but what's wrong with honey that comes from flowers? Bees add their enzymes to it as well. So we need honey. I haven't heard of that. June bug. Hey, Rich, how are you doing? You mentioned queen's good for 2 or 3 years. In the long run, for continued hive health, is it more beneficial to replace her yearly? I've always promoted that. You watched some of my very old videos when I was young and had dark hair. I promoted a yearly replacement of your queen because it helps them get through increases their chance of overwintering because there's more brood being laid in the fall. It increases or decreases their chance of swarming because the queen has more queen mandibular pheromone in the spring. So there's so many benefits of replacing that queen yearly. Now, it's costly if you're kind of on a tight budget, but that's why I teach courses on how to raise your own queens. I have an online course. I have a booklet that Dr. John Zavishlak and I wrote. There's no reason for any of us not to really tinker and get into starting to raise your own queens for that reason. Once a year is really good. Hey, Dottie, in setting up hives, is it better to have them level or have the front of the hive tilted slightly forward? I've read both. If you have a screen bottom board, no reason to tilt it. If you do have a solid bottom board, it is beneficial to have the slightest amount of angle toward the front, just in case you do have a jar that leaks or rainwater gets in there. Yeah, it's going to lean a little bit toward the front and it's going to drip out. Err on the side of a little bit of an angle toward the front. If bees of winter physiology live longer, do they perform the time-limited tasks such as being a nurse bee longer? They are able to function and do multiple functions later on in life. That's correct. They can. I don't think they are as good as a spring nurse bee, but they can pull it off. They can still do tasks. Absolutely. They have to, right? They're raising bees all winter. Hey, Sunshine from Indianapolis. I enjoyed speaking over there with you guys. That was a spectacular evening. I'll never forget that. Thanks for your donation. Do I put the hive with the queen on the bottom or on the top if I want to combine it with a queenless hive using the newspaper method? Very good idea. Here's my reasoning, bee biology, and here's how it works. You've already got a good operating hive right on the bottom down there. The queen's down there. They're flying in and out. I don't want to mess with that. I want that hive to fully function normally. And so what I want to do is I want to add something on the top. That would be a queenless hive that, you know, you've had a failing queen. Add that box under some over some newspaper, cut some slits in the newspaper with a pocket knife or 3. That way, your existing hive really isn't disturbed. It's on the bottom doing things. And then they're saying, we're busy working. We're having a good time here. But what's that up above? Let's investigate. Okay, we shake hands or feet and we like each other. And you guys can help us. Come on down. That works better. Good question. I've had that question asked a lot. All righty. Let's take a moment and have a giveaway. We're getting close to the top of the hour. Good crowd tonight. Thank you all for being here. Tonight, we're going to give away one of my Burns feeders that some of you may still need to use if you're getting a new package. You want to build them up. This is the feeder board that I created many years ago, and a lot of you will use this in the spring. Oh, by the way, this is really good in the fall to raise bees of winter physiology. Got the jar lids included in there with the tiny little holes. Hashtag feeder in the comments. That's how you do it. I know some of you may be watching on TV. I think half of you are watching on television. You may not be able to type fast enough. I don't know. Maybe you can. I don't know how that works. But if you're watching from TV or whatever, hashtag feeder for your chance to win one of our feeders. Love to send you one. Oh, by the way, last week we gave away a huge, big day dance smoker. Remember that last week? Hi, Linda. Thanks for your donation. That was fun. And the gentleman that won it asked me to autograph it. That was funny. I looked at the smoker and I bought it last September, if you're watching tonight. And last September, I always, when I buy things, I have a white marker, like a white Sharpie. I love white Sharpies. I wrote my name on there and I put the month and year that I bought it. It's September 2024, David Burns. I do that so I'll know when I bought it, what year it was. And if I'm somewhere and I leave my smoker, somebody's going to say, well, this is David Burns' smoker, and they'll be kind enough to give it back to me. So anyway, he asked me to autograph it. And I've had people ask me to autograph these feeders actually at conferences. Oh, and I just hit a bee. Oh, by the way, while we're collecting comments, remember this bee? I made videos a long time ago. It's a big bee model. Look at that. I can't reach my microphone and get everything in the scene here, but isn't that amazing? Hypopharyngeal glands making a royal jelly up in here. Look at the heart. Oh, here's the heart pumping blood around, pumping blood up to the head. Isn't that amazing? The stinger. She must have stung somebody. Her stinger's gone. I got stung 3 times going gloveless in my last inspection. Hello, can worker bees lay in queen cells? Worker bees lay in queen cells. If something is wrong with the queen, they could. Because, you know, if there's no brood and they are a laying worker, yeah, they could lay in there. I don't know if they would, but they certainly could. That's a really good question. I think anything's possible with bees. I would never be surprised. Wow. Nope. Oh, by the way, I got to remember 2 more things. Okay. Robbie, let's go ahead and have our giveaway. I need to do one more thing. I got a couple of announcements that I need to make. So hang on. Let's do a giveaway. Let's go ahead and spin for the giveaway on the feeder. Let's see who will win today. We'll get that feeder sent out to you. By the way, once you win, you'll have to email us. We'll provide the email address at the bottom. Robbie's giving all of you a chance to get in there at the last minute. Go for it, Robbie. All right. There goes Robert and Philip and Alex and Jenny and Tom and Mike. Oh, yeah. Who's going to win tonight? Wow. A lot of you winning. Tank David. There you go. You're the winner of the feeder. I think he's watching from Facebook, by the way. So congratulations. And you'll need to email us within 24 hours, beaksquadwinner@gmail.com. Awesome. Congratulations on that giveaway. Let me show you a special drawing. Robbie, can you bring up the drawing? Oh, there it is. Look at that. Now, it might be a little bit embarrassing. I can't get my scene in there. Anyway, this is a drawing that Sherry did. And look, Sherry got a blue ribbon for her drawing. And it says at the top, Sherry Burns 4th. It doesn't mean she got 4th place. Sherry named it 4th. That's the name of the drawing because I think she said it. She drew it 4 times to get it before she liked it. So she named it 4th. Congratulations, Sherry. Isn't she quite the artist? Multi-mixed media here. So this is like, I don't know, ink, pencil, maybe watercolor, or it's a mixed media. So those of you that enjoy drawing, isn't that beautiful? We'll have to have Sherry draw us a bee or something. That's a lot of fun. So that's great. Oh, Robbie, what was the, oh, I know. Okay, I think we're good. Very good. Make sure. Yeah. Okay. We got all that homework out of the way. Well, good. All right. Let me have a 1 minute of rapid fire questions, and I'm going to have rapid answers. If I don't use the queen excluder, will they lay brood and the honey super? Possibility is very strong. I'd say 80% chance. Yes. How would you estimate how many bees in a colony? You kind of look at the frames and you would guess, how many bees are on that frame and kind of go from there. It's not an easy task. No one's ever good at it. Hey, Chris, is it okay to do a walkway split if the hives are only 10 foot apart? They are. Put something in front of the split so the foragers are forced to do an orientation flight. We all do that. We have to. All right, Kevin, if you replace a failing queen, do you pinch her or let the queen or new queen do it? Oh, no. Don't let the new queen do it, because what might happen, your old queen could kill your new queen, and your bees will kill the new queen. No, you got to get the old queen out, wait 24 hours, and then introduce the new queen. Whew. If she is injured, can they take and mend her, or will they need to get another queen? They don't like injured queen. Anything wrong with their queen? No. She can lose a leg. They'll kill her. Larry, in an 8-frame box, where do you put the green drone comb? You put it about 3 frames, 2 to 3 frames from the wall. It needs to be just outside the brood area. That's where they naturally raise their drones, Larry. Very good. Got 15 seconds left. What do we got for rapid fire? Patrick, what are your thoughts on spacers taking a 10-frame box into a 9-frame box? I like the idea. It's not, you want to do that? It's great. Do it. Yep, absolutely. Cody. Hey, Cody, good to see you. Should you treat a nuke for mites? Yeah, don't ever pass up a chance to treat for mites, but always test first. Then you know if you need to. I'll take one more fast one. Oh, Ben, thanks for your donation tonight. Are there any tips on finding a virgin queen? I made a video and I'm going to kind of redo it a little bit, but virgin queens act just like workers. They run around. Nobody cares. They don't have a retinue. To me, they look a little different. They're runny. It's hard to see them. Wow. Guys, we had 59 minutes of great fun. This is my opportunity to say thank you so much. We had nearly 800 of you that crowded in the space tonight. I appreciate all of you. You're the best. I love you to the moon and back. I know all of you are going through different kind of good and bad things in life, and let me know. I just want you to know that I got your back. I'm here. I'm really feel like your friend. I mean, I really enjoy you. I love you. I appreciate you. I want to encourage you. I think we should be helpful and inspiring and encouraging to each other. And I thank you for you giving it back this way to support the channel through donations, by being here. And I don't answer questions based on donations. I answer any questions that I can get to. I appreciate the donations. And yeah, I think it's great that you're here helping this live stream be successful. We work hard. Hats off to Jessica, Robbie, Sherry, and Carrie for helping. Give them a round of applause. That's great. I got a couple of great videos that came out just a few days ago. Please drop back if you haven't seen those videos. Get on there and watch that. It's going to help you so much in actually doing a good job with the 3 mistakes you want to avoid that we taught on earlier in this live stream. Good night, everybody. See you guys in the next video.